There's not much that every four-wheel drive trainer and expert agrees on, but changing tyres for off-road touring from a stock standard like this to an all-terrain like that is definitely something there is consensus on, and in this video I'm going to explain why. So the stock standard tyre is necessarily a compromise. A vehicle like the Ford Ranger or Hilux or an Everest or whatever you want there has to be multi-purpose. The manufacturer doesn't know what use it's going to be put to. It could just be driving around local suburbs, it could be heavy towing, it could be serious off-road, there could be a huge payload in it, there could be a small payload in it. So therefore the tyre has to have a mix of capabilities and isn't optimised for anything specific. Now particularly with tyres, you have to optimise them because the demands on a tyre pull at each other and you can't get a tyre which is good at everything. So for example, you've got dry grip and you've got wet grip on road, and then you've got a grip on dirt roads, grip on mud, on snow, on rocks. All of those are diametrically opposed. Then you've got longevity of the tyre, quietness. So modern cars like this do have to pass significant noise tests, and tyres need to be noisy for that. You also want the tyres to not cost very much, which actually makes everything else more difficult as well. You want to measure a puncture resistance, you want them to ride smoothly, and you want them to handle sharply as well. So all of those things a tyre has to do, and it can't do all of them to the maximum. So stock tyres are kind of this middle of the road ground, particularly around cost. Now for off-road touring, what we want to be able to optimise the tyres. And typically what we want from off-roading is we want better grip off-road on dirt roads and so forth, and we want greater strength, puncture resistance, and we want load carrying. And in order to achieve them, we're going to have to give up a few things. The tyres are going to be a bit noisier, they're going to cost more, we're not going to get the fuel economy out of them, and compared to a stock tyre on the road, then we might find that the ride and the handling isn't quite there. So that's kind of the trade-off we make for off-roading, and the same is true of other components such as suspension, where we make a similar kind of trade-off. So there's four aspects to consider when choosing a tyre. One is your performance, which is your speed rating and your load rating. Two is the dimensions of the tyre, the height, width, and also the aspect ratio. The third is the tread pattern, which is essentially your traction trade-off. And the fourth is the construction. We're going to cover them all now. So I'm going to talk through the process I use to come up with new tyres for my Ranger, and then you can take that information and apply it to your own circumstances. So the first thing you've got to check is what the legal requirements are for the tyres which you can fit. And I've got another video on this in detail, but briefly it is the load rating, which has to be the amount of, I guess, load that the tyre can take, and that is dictated by the vehicle's placard. Then you've got the speed rating, which is how fast it can go. Now you don't have to follow the placard for that. For four-wheel drive vehicles there's an exemption, you only need N-rated or above. So that's the performance characteristics of the tyre. Then we've got the dimensions of the tyre, which is the total height, the diameter, and the width as well. Now there's no specific restrictions on that per se, but there are other restrictions which then force a maximum width and a maximum diameter. So for example, the widest the maximum amount of offset you can put on, the biggest wheel, which is this part here, all of that feeds into how big a tyre you can put on. And for four-wheel drives, typically in Australia there's a 50mm maximum diameter. Beyond that you have to go to engineer certificates. So what I've done is comply with the load and the speed rating, and I've gone for a little bit taller in terms of diameter, not enough to get me over the 50mm, but enough that I get a little bit of extra ground clearance, which is important when you're off-roading, but not so much that I'm adding vast amounts of extra weight, creating extra fuel consumption, and I'm going to be putting more stress on the transmission. So the stock tyre size is a 255 70/17, and I've gone for 265 70/17, which is both taller and a little bit wider. Now I didn't really want to go wider because I have done the analysis as have others, and there's not really that much advantage to going wider in terms of contact patch or anything else, and going narrow just does mean that the tyre is a little bit lighter. However, 265 70/17 isn't really that much wider, and it's also a really common size, and that's quite important as well, whereas the equivalent size, taller size in a 255 is really hard to find and also quite expensive, not much choice. So 265 size 70/17 is what I need, and I find that works for me off-road. So taller tyres do improve off-road clearances. Here we've got our approach angle on the standard car, then ramp or breakover, and a departure angle. Now if we do nothing else but fit taller tyres, look at the angles. That's improved, and that's improved. So better off-road capability, and also we get greater ground clearance as well, whether or not you've got independent or live axles. But fitting taller tyres comes with pros and cons. So the pros are you get better angles, as we've just seen, improved ground clearance. You do get a greater contact patch and flotation, and better climb over ability. The disadvantages include they are heavier, there's more driveline stress as a result of that greater diameter and weight. Fuel economy will definitely suffer. You may require other mods such as a suspension lift or moving a greater offset so the wheels are further away from the vehicle. There might be tyre body rubbing contact, particularly if you don't mod enough, and it's greater cost, and there's also potential legal issues unless you get an engineer certificate if you're going to go for really large tyres. Here's another change of larger tyres. We're going to start the video at the same point, and notice the taller tyre vehicle gets there before the smaller tyred vehicle. That means poorer engine braking and gear changes generally. For small changes like mine, you don't need to worry about it. For bigger changes, you will need to be starting to change your diff ratios and transmission, etc. So with the dimensions sorted and the specs sorted, the next thing to do is look at the tread pattern. So here's the three basic classes of tread pattern you get to choose from. This is a road pattern. As you can see, that the tread blocks are very close together, and they're also not that deep. So if I put the coin there, you'll be able to see it doesn't go too far in. And this is great for on-road use, and the only reason it's got actual tread at all is to disperse water. So relatively cheap, great for on-road, good on-road handling, quiet, etc. Then we move over to the all-terrain pattern. You can see that already the gaps here are larger, and if we sort of go down to one side here, then you can see that the coin goes in a lot further. So it's got much larger tread blocks, as you can see here, and that allows it much better grip off-road, and these little points here just help mud not get stuck in there as well. But these wider tread blocks mean that there's more noise, there's greater fuel consumption, and the handling isn't as good because the car is now sort of balancing on these tread blocks and can sort of squirm around on them, whereas with this road tyre, you see the tread blocks are much bigger and they're just not as thick either. So that's where the handling and also to some extent the noise comes from. Okay, then if we shift over to the mud terrain pattern, you can really see that it's actually much deeper. So if we put the coin in there, see that's actually deeper again, and the gaps between the tread blocks are even larger. So this will give you very good grip off-road, but it actually will be quite compromised on road because of these huge tread blocks, and it's just simply not designed to optimize on-road handling in the way that this one is. So you can essentially take your choice between the three of them. For my purposes, I go for the all-terrain, which I think offers me good on-road handling whilst at the same time being strong enough for off-road use and offering me good off-road grip. Now, all-terrain tyres these days really don't compromise on-road handling very much. In fact, I'd say that I probably get more grip out of these Geolander Go18s on road than I did on the Ford stock tyres, and they certainly perform better off-road for sure. I didn't go for a mud tyre because I don't need to. Even though I do pretty hard four-wheel drive tracks, I don't necessarily go looking for them these days, but if something's in front of me, I don't generally turn back. Then I find that a modern all-terrain tyre, particularly with front and rear lockers on this and traction control, and then if I need it, worst case winch and max tracks, it gets me there. So I don't really need that mud terrain. And it might, maybe one time a year be glad of it, but I can still get there. I air down a bit further, I winch, I do whatever else and past it a bit and I go on. So I think for me, and I think for a lot of other people, an all-terrain tyre is definitely the go. So let's talk about construction now. So here's the all-terrain tyre, here's the road pattern tyre. And first thing to say is that the road tyre isn't as strong, it can't take as much load, it's not as puncture resistant as the all-terrain tyre, but that's not actually to do with the tread pattern, it's actually to do with the construction of the tyre. Now, what you can't see underneath here is how much rubber there is, and also all of the plies and the steel belts. There's a steel belt running through here, for example, and generally how strongly the tyre is built. You can certainly say that this one's built stronger than that one, and a good tip is to look for a tyre with LT. LT stands for light truck construction, and that's going to be prefixing the tyre dimensions here, and the R stands for radial. Now if we go over to this tyre, what we find here is that there is no prefix, so that means it's a passenger type tyre. There's the dimensions again in the R for radial. So this tyre is not as strong, but again, just because a tyre might have an aggressive pattern doesn't mean to say it's strong, although typically you do find that the stronger tyres do tend to be more off-road oriented. As long as you go for a light truck though, you should be good for off-road touring. Another really important aspect, literally, of tyres for off-roaders is the aspect ratio, which is the ratio of the width to the sidewall height. And what you want here, this is the sidewall, this area around here, you want this to be as large as possible. And the reason is that it insulates the tyre from the wheel, and whenever you air the tyre down, reduce the air pressure in it to go off-road, then you've got this large cushion sidewall round here, which you don't get when you've got a very large diameter rim and then you've got a very tiny amount of sidewall there. So in this case the Ranger's got a 17-inch rim, which is 17 inches from here to here. Yes, we use inches. Look at my tyre sizing video for an explanation as to how all of that works, and I've kept that because I don't want to go to an 18 or a 19 or a 20-inch rim, because then that would decrease the amount of rubber I've got here, and that would not perform as well. And also it's actually heavier. Now I've got a video where I go into high and low profile tyres, as we call them. This is a high profile tyre. When there's not much rubber there, that will be a low profile tyre. But for off-roading, you definitely want the higher profile tyres. Now another question which comes up with tyres and wheels is, okay, don't use alloy wheels such as this, use steel wheels. And the reason given is because they're stronger. When you bend them, you can bend them back into shape with a hammer. Now I have done that, it does work, but I run the standard alloy wheels. The reason is they're more than tough enough, and I think in my experience they're stronger than the average steel wheel, so they're less likely to buckle. If you have good quality tyres, you take care of them, and you've got a high profile, then the chances of buckling one of these wheels is extremely small. And in the very rare event that that's ever actually happened, it's never happened to me, I've never buckled an alloy wheel, then I've got a spare as well. So I would rather save money and just keep the standard wheels, which are perfectly fine and also lighter than a steel wheel as well, which means that you've got less stress on the drivetrain and not much fuel consumption penalty compared to a heavier steel wheel. So choosing a tyre summary. First thing is performance, your speed and load ratings. You find those on the driver's side door in the tyre placard, and you've got to at least have the load rating or better. Speed rating you can go down as low as N if you're in a four-wheel drive. Second is dimensions. Again, watch my video on that because that's a complicated subject. As long as you're below 50mm diameter, you should be okay for a four-wheel drive. Then we come to tread pattern. That's your highway, mud, all-terrain or mud terrain trade-off, and maybe rugged as well. So how oriented do you want to be off-road? And finally, construction. How tough do you want it to be? So my view here is, generally for four-wheel drive tours, I'd keep the same width. I'd go 20, 30 up to 50mm diameter. That way you've got a bit of extra diameter, a bit of extra ground clearance, but you're not getting into legal problems and you're not getting into needing engineer certificate or expensive additional modifications. I think these days an all-terrain pattern is enough for most tours, especially if you've got a locker or two, or good traction control and good recovery equipment. I would always buy light truck construction for the strength, and always go for a high-profile tyre, which means a 17-inch rim, maybe 18s, and certainly not 19s or 20s unless you've got no other choice. And I'd stick with the standard alloy wheels as well. Tyres are a complex subject, so please watch the videos I put in the description if you want more information on some of the aspects that I've talked about. Thanks for watching.